There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes heavier than fear, when staying the same hurts more than change. That moment is calling you now, not to run, not to hide, but to rise and take hold of the power you've been giving away. This is not about blaming the past or waiting for rescue. This is about standing in your own name, claiming your strength, and deciding once and for all that your life belongs to you. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are already chosen. Long before the world learned your name, life placed possibility in your hands. You were never meant to sit quietly on the sidelines, hoping someone would notice your worth. Your existence itself is evidence that you belong here, that you have a place, a purpose, and a voice that matters. Stop asking for permission to be who you already are. Too many people spend their lives standing in line for approval, believing that validation will arrive from outside and suddenly make them whole. But wholeness does not come from being selected. It comes from self-recognition. The moment you understand that you are already enough, you step out of waiting and into living. No one else can crown you. You must lift your own head and claim your ground. You were chosen by resilience. Every challenge you survived was not an accident. It was a quiet vote of confidence from life itself. Each time you fell and rose again, something inside you whispered, "You can go further." That whisper was truth. You are here because you endured, because you adapted, because you carried hope even when your hands were shaking. When you believe you are already chosen, fear loses its authority. Rejection no longer defines you. Delays no longer discourage you, and comparisons no longer shrink you. You begin to move with a calm strength, knowing that your journey does not need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. You stop chasing doors that refuse to open and start building your own. This realization changes how you speak, how you walk, how you dream. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You stop shrinking your goals to fit small spaces. You understand that confidence is not arrogance, it is honesty about your value. And once you are honest with yourself, the world feels it. Being chosen does not mean life will be easy. It means you are capable. It means you are trusted with growth, with lessons, with responsibility for your own becoming. You are not here by mistake, and you are not late. Your timing is your own, and your path unfolds when you decide to walk it. So step forward with intention. Speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. Take action even when certainty feels distant. You are not waiting in the shadows of someone else's decision. You are standing in the center of your own life, and it is time to move like you know it. Remember this when doubt returns, because it will. Remember this when the world feels loud and confusing. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are already chosen, and the rest of your life is waiting for you to believe it. Your voice matters, even when it trembles, especially when it trembles. Because a shaking voice is not a sign of weakness. It is proof that courage is present. Silence has never changed the world, but brave words, even uncertain ones, have moved mountains. Every time you choose to speak instead of swallow your truth, you reclaim a piece of yourself that fear tried to steal. There were moments when you learned to quiet yourself, moments when speaking up cost too much, when being heard felt dangerous, when the safest choice seemed to be staying small. Those moments shaped you, but they do not define you. You are no longer required to carry the habits that once protected you. Growth asks something different now. Growth asks you to be seen. Your voice holds your story, and your story holds power. Not because it is perfect, but because it is real. There are people who need to hear what you've survived, what you've learned, and what you still wrestle with. Your honesty gives others permission to breathe, to heal, to believe they are not alone. When you speak your truth, you unknowingly unlock someone else's courage. Do not wait for your voice to sound confident before you use it. Confidence is born through expression, not before it. The first time may feel awkward, the second time may still shake. But with each word spoken, fear loosens its grip. Strength grows through repetition. Silence keeps doubt alive. Expression weakens it. There will always be someone who misunderstands you, judges you, or tries to quiet you. That is not a reason to disappear. That is evidence that your voice carries weight. You are not responsible for how others receive your truth. You are only responsible for honoring it. Speak anyway. Speak kindly. Speak clearly. Speak honestly. Your voice does not have to be loud to be powerful. It does not need to dominate rooms or command attention. Sometimes the softest truths are the most unforgettable. A calm, steady sentence spoken from the heart can echo longer than a shout. Trust the tone that feels like you. Authenticity resonates deeper than performance. When you deny your voice, you deny your needs, your boundaries, your dreams. But when you allow yourself to speak, you begin to shape your life instead of reacting to it. You teach people how to treat you. You clarify your direction. You stop living in assumptions and start living in intention. Let your voice rise in conversations that matter. Let it protect your peace. Let it express your desires and your limits. Let it tell the world who you are becoming. You were not given a voice by accident. It was placed within you as a tool for survival, connection, and change. So speak even if your hands shake. Speak even if your heart races. Speak even if you're afraid of being seen. Your voice matters, not when it is perfect, but because it is yours. Power begins the moment you stop doubting yourself. Not when the world applauds you, not when success finally arrives, but in the quiet instant when you decide to trust your own footsteps. Doubt has a way of disguising itself as caution, whispering that you are not ready, not capable, not enough. But doubt is not wisdom. It is a habit, one you can unlearn. You have spent too much time questioning your worth while carrying proof of your strength every single day. You have survived moments that once felt impossible. You have adapted when there was no map. You have kept going even when motivation disappeared. These are not accidents, they are evidence, and yet doubt asks you to forget all of it and focus only on what you fear you lack. Self-doubt does not protect you, it delays you. It convinces you to wait until confidence arrives, not realizing that confidence is built through action. Each time you hesitate, you hand your power to fear. Each time you believe you are not ready, you push your dreams a little further away. Power returns when you decide that uncertainty will not control your movement. You do not need to feel fearless to move forward. You only need to feel willing. Willing to try before you feel perfect. Willing to begin before you feel prepared. Willing to trust that growth happens during the process, not before it. The strongest people are not those without doubt. They are the ones who refuse to let doubt make decisions for them. There will be voices, inside and outside, that question your ability. Let them talk. Their doubts are reflections of their limits, not yours. You are not designed to live according to other people's expectations of your capacity. When you stop seeking permission to believe in yourself, you reclaim energy that was never meant to be wasted on comparison. As doubt fades, something steady replaces it. Not arrogance, not recklessness, but clarity. You begin to see your path without constantly second-guessing every step. You make choices with intention. You accept mistakes as lessons instead of proof of failure. You understand that falling does not cancel your potential, it shapes it. Power also means taking responsibility for your thoughts. When negative beliefs arise, you challenge them. You remind yourself of how far you've come. You speak to yourself with the same patience you offer others. The way you talk to yourself determines how boldly you live. Change the conversation, and your confidence will follow. When you stop doubting yourself, your posture changes. Your voice steadies. Your actions align with your desires. You stop shrinking in rooms where you belong. You stop abandoning yourself to make others comfortable. You show up fully, imperfect but present, aware that growth requires visibility. This is where control begins, not with control over others, but control over your inner world. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust that you are capable of learning what you do not yet know. Power is not something you find outside. It rises the moment you decide to believe in the person you already are. Pain can shape you, but it must never own you. There is a difference between being marked by hardship and being defined by it. Life will test you in ways you did not choose, and pain will leave its fingerprints on your story. That is unavoidable. But ownership is a choice. Pain may visit, it may teach, it may stay for a season, yet it does not get to decide who you become. There were moments when pain arrived unannounced and stayed longer than expected. Moments when it took your breath, changed your plans, and forced you to see the world through tired eyes. In those moments, it felt personal, unfair, overwhelming. But pain is not a sentence. It is an experience. It is something you pass through, not something you live inside forever. Pain has a way of carving depth into the soul. It teaches empathy where ignorance once lived. It builds strength where comfort once ruled. It sharpens awareness and reveals what truly matters. But when pain is allowed to take control, it hardens into bitterness, fear, or resentment. That is when it stops shaping and starts stealing. You are allowed to remember what hurt you without reliving it every day. Healing does not require forgetting, it requires reclaiming. Reclaiming your peace, reclaiming your joy, reclaiming your ability to hope without flinching. The goal is not to erase pain, but to place it in its rightful position, behind you, not ahead of you. There is a quiet danger in holding pain too tightly. It convinces you to expect disappointment, to brace for loss, to build walls instead of bridges. It whispers that vulnerability is weakness and that survival means staying guarded. But survival is not the same as living. You deserve more than just making it through the day. Let pain inform you, not imprison you. Let it make you wiser, not smaller, stronger, not colder. The lessons pain brings are valuable, but only if you extract them and move forward. Carrying pain without purpose only weighs you down. Transforming it into understanding sets you free. You are not obligated to punish yourself for what happened to you. You are not required to bleed forever to prove you were hurt. Healing is not betrayal of your past. It is respect for your future. Choosing peace does not mean the pain was meaningless. It means you are choosing not to let it rule your tomorrow. There will be days when pain tries to reintroduce itself, knocking softly on your thoughts, reminding you of old wounds. On those days, acknowledge it without surrendering to it. You can say, "I remember," without saying, "I belong to this." Awareness is power. Distance is healing. When pain no longer owns you, your life expands. You take risks again. You trust again. You dream without apologizing for hope. You stop defining yourself by what broke you and start honoring what rebuilt you. Pain may have shaped parts of you, but it does not get the final word. You are more than what hurt you. You always have been. You are allowed to outgrow places that shrink you. Growth does not ask for permission, and becoming more than you once were is not an act of disloyalty. There are environments that once felt like home, but now feel too small for your breath. That discomfort is not ingratitude. It is awareness. It is your spirit recognizing that you were not meant to stay the same forever. There was a time when certain spaces, routines, or relationships kept you safe. They held you while you were learning who you were, but safety and stagnation can quietly begin to look alike. What once supported you may now limit you, and staying out of fear of change will slowly drain the life from your potential. You are not meant to suffocate just to keep others comfortable. Outgrowing does not mean condemning the past. It means honoring it without being trapped by it. You can appreciate where you came from and still choose a different direction. You can love people deeply and still recognize that not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next chapter. Growth rearranges your world, and that rearrangement can feel lonely before it feels freeing. Some places shrink you by asking you to explain your dreams instead of supporting them. Some shrink you by expecting you to remain the version of yourself they are used to. Some shrink you by rewarding silence over truth and comfort over growth. Staying in those spaces teaches you to doubt your instincts and silence your ambition. Leaving them teaches you to trust yourself again. Outgrowing is often quiet. It happens internally long before anything changes externally. You begin to feel restless, uninspired, disconnected. You try to make it work, to adjust, to convince yourself that nothing needs to change. But your heart knows. It knows when you are no longer expanding. It knows when you are settling instead of evolving. Choosing to leave what shrinks you takes courage. It means stepping into uncertainty without guarantees. It means risking misunderstanding, disappointment, and judgment. But it also means choosing alignment over approval. It means deciding that your growth is more important than your fear of being misunderstood. You cannot grow fully in places that require you to stay small. You may grieve what you leave behind, and that grief is valid. Growth often comes with loss of familiarity, loss of identity, loss of certainty. But what you gain is deeper. You gain space to breathe, to explore, to become honest about who you are now. You gain room to stretch into your potential without apology. When you allow yourself to outgrow shrinking spaces, your confidence changes. You stop asking whether you are too much and start asking whether you are being true. You stop shrinking your needs and start honoring them. You stop forcing yourself to fit and start choosing environments that allow you to expand naturally. Self-control is the highest form of freedom. It is quiet, steady, and often misunderstood. Many believe freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, without limits. But true freedom is not chaos. True freedom is choice. It is the ability to pause, to decide, and to act with intention rather than impulse. When you master yourself, nothing else can truly enslave you. There are forces everywhere pulling at your attention, your emotions, your reactions. Anger invites you to explode. Fear urges you to retreat. Desire tempts you to abandon your long-term vision for short-term comfort. Without self-control, you are constantly reacting, constantly giving your power away to circumstances, people, and moods. That is not freedom. That is captivity, disguised as spontaneity. Self-control does not mean suppressing who you are. It means understanding yourself deeply enough to lead yourself wisely. It means recognizing your triggers and choosing not to be ruled by them. You feel the emotion, but you decide the response. You acknowledge the urge, but you choose the action. In that pause between feeling and doing, freedom is born. When you practice self-control, you stop being a prisoner of your past habits. You stop repeating cycles that no longer serve you. You realize that discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in motion. Every time you say no to what weakens you, you say yes to what strengthens you. Every time you delay gratification, you build trust with yourself. This kind of freedom is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up in small, powerful moments, choosing calm over rage, focus over distraction, patience over impulse. It shows up when you walk away from what feels good now to protect what will matter later. These choices shape your character long before they shape your results. Self-control gives you ownership of your life. You stop blaming others for your reactions. You stop excusing behavior that keeps you stuck. You realize that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. And that response determines the direction of your life more than any external event ever could. There will be days when self-control feels heavy, days when giving in feels easier than standing firm. On those days, remember that ease is temporary, but regret lingers. Self-control may demand effort in the moment, but it rewards you with peace, clarity, and pride that lasts far longer than momentary pleasure. As you strengthen this skill, your confidence grows quietly. You trust yourself more because you keep your promises to yourself. You no longer feel scattered or out of control. Your mind becomes calmer, your decisions clearer. You begin to live proactively instead of reactively, guided by values rather than moods. Freedom is waking up without guilt. Freedom is knowing your actions align with your goals. Freedom is being able to sit with discomfort without letting it dictate your choices. This is the freedom self-control offers, not restriction, but direction, not limitation, but liberation. When you learn to govern your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, you become unstoppable in the truest sense. The world may remain unpredictable, but you become steady within it. And that steadiness is power. Remember this: anything that truly belongs in your life will grow with you, not against you. Anything meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to choose growth, even when it feels uncomfortable. Outgrowing is not rejection. It is self-respect. And every time you choose it, you take one more step into control of your own life. Stand tall in your truth, even when you stand alone. There will be moments when your honesty makes the room uncomfortable, when your values do not blend easily with the crowd, when choosing integrity feels isolating. In those moments, remember that standing alone is not the same as being lost. Sometimes it is the clearest sign that you are standing in the right place. Truth has weight. It asks you to be responsible for who you are and what you believe. It does not bend easily, and that is why it often costs something to live by it. You may lose approval. You may lose familiarity. You may even lose people who preferred you quieter, smaller, or more agreeable. But losing yourself would cost far more. Standing in your truth requires courage because it removes the mask. It means you no longer shape yourself to fit expectations that deny your values. You stop rehearsing answers to please others and start speaking from conviction. This kind of honesty is not loud or aggressive. It is steady. It does not seek attention, but it commands respect, even from those who disagree. Loneliness can visit when you choose truth over comfort. That loneliness can feel heavy, especially if you are used to belonging. But solitude is not punishment. It is space. Space to hear your own thoughts. Space to strengthen your beliefs. Space to grow into the person you are meant to be without constant interference. What feels like isolation can become clarity. When you stand alone, you learn how strong your foundation really is. You learn whether your values are borrowed or earned. You discover that approval is fragile, but self-respect is durable. The confidence that comes from living truthfully cannot be given by others, and it cannot be taken away by rejection. There will be pressure to compromise, to soften your truth so it fits better, to stay quiet so you are not singled out. But compromise that betrays your core will always demand another sacrifice later. Each time you abandon your truth, it becomes harder to recognize yourself. Each time you honor it, your sense of self grows clearer and stronger. Standing tall does not mean you refuse to listen or learn. It means you remain open without being hollow. It means you can hear other perspectives without losing your own. Growth and truth can coexist. Strength and humility can walk together. Standing tall is about alignment, not rigidity. Over time, something changes. The loneliness fades, and alignment takes its place. You begin to attract people who recognize your authenticity, who respect your consistency, who trust you because you trust yourself. The right connections do not require you to shrink. They meet you where you stand. Even when no one applauds your honesty, it matters. Even when your truth is inconvenient, it matters. You are building a life that you can live with, a conscience you can sleep with, a future that does not require regret. That kind of peace is rare, and it is worth protecting. So stand tall, even when your knees shake, even when the room goes quiet, even when the path feels solitary. Your truth is not meant to blend in. It is meant to guide you, and as long as you honor it, you are never truly alone. When you take control, your soul remembers its strength. It is not something new you acquire, it is something ancient you recover. Beneath layers of doubt, fear, and hesitation, there has always been a steady core within you that knows how to endure, how to rise, how to begin again. Taking control is not about forcing life to obey you, but about returning to yourself and reclaiming what was never truly lost. For a long time, you may have moved through life on autopilot, reacting instead of choosing, surviving instead of directing. You followed patterns handed to you by circumstances, expectations, or past wounds. In doing so, your strength did not disappear, it simply went quiet. The soul grows weary when it is ignored, but it never forgets who it is. The moment you decide to take responsibility for your direction, something inside you awakens. Control begins with awareness. You notice how you speak to yourself, what you tolerate, what you postpone, and what you chase without fulfillment. You begin to see where your energy leaks and where your fear has been making decisions in your place. This awareness is not meant to shame you, it is meant to empower you. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge, but once you see clearly, you are no longer helpless. As you take control, your soul remembers how to stand upright. You stop collapsing inward when things go wrong. You stop abandoning yourself at the first sign of discomfort. Instead, you pause, you breathe, you choose. These small acts of self-leadership restore trust between you and yourself, and trust is where strength lives. Strength does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like consistency when motivation fades. Sometimes it looks like boundaries when guilt tries to creep in. Sometimes it looks like patience with your own growth. Each intentional choice, no matter how small, reminds your soul that it is safe to show up fully again. Taking control also means accepting responsibility without carrying blame. You acknowledge where you are without defining yourself by mistakes. You understand that responsibility is not punishment, it is power. When you own your choices, you reclaim the ability to change them. Victimhood weakens the spirit, but ownership strengthens it. As your soul remembers its strength, fear loses its dominance. Fear may still speak, but it no longer commands. You act even when uncertainty lingers. You move forward even when the outcome is unclear. Strength does not remove fear. It teaches you how to walk with it without letting it lead. Over time, this inner shift becomes visible. Your posture changes, your voice steadies, your decisions align more closely with your values. You no longer feel scattered or pulled in every direction. You begin to live with intention, guided by clarity rather than reaction. Life feels less like something happening to you and more like something you are actively shaping. When you take control, your soul exhales. It recognizes itself again. It remembers resilience, dignity, and quiet courage. And from that remembering, a deeper confidence grows, one that does not depend on outcomes or approval. It is the confidence of someone who knows they can face whatever comes, because they are finally standing with themselves, not against themselves.